What happens when royalty meets reality television and refuses to play by the rules? In just 35 seconds, one comment would send a beloved daytime talk show into absolute chaos and end with a guest being escorted off the stage in front of a stunned live audience. The View studio was buzzing with its usual energy that morning. The audience had filed in, excited for another episode of Hot Topics and celebrity interviews. Joy Behar sat at the table, shuffling her notes and preparing for what was supposed to be a friendly conversation with Meghan Markle. The producers had pitched it as an easy interview, a chance for Meghan to discuss her latest projects and maybe share a few lighthearted stories. But from the moment Meghan walked onto that stage, something felt different. The applause was warm as she made her entrance, waving to the crowd with that practiced smile. She took her seat across from Joy, smoothing down her dress and adjusting the microphone clipped to her collar. The cameras were rolling. The audience settled into their seats. Joy welcomed her with genuine enthusiasm. "We are so excited to have you here today," Joy said, her voice bright and welcoming. "Thank you so much for joining us." Meghan nodded, but her smile seemed tight. "Thank you for having me." Joy dove right into the first question, something simple about Meghan's recent charitable work. It should have been an easy softball, the kind of question that allows a guest to shine and share their passions. But Meghan's answer went in an unexpected direction. "Well, Joy, I think it's important to recognize that not everyone has the platform I have," Meghan began, her tone already carrying an edge. "And I think shows like this one need to be more conscious about who they give airtime to and what messages they're promoting." Joy's eyebrows lifted slightly. The other hosts exchanged quick glances. The audience shifted in their seats. "I'm sorry. What do you mean by that?" Joy asked, keeping her voice steady and professional. "I mean that daytime television has a responsibility," Meghan continued, leaning forward. "And frankly, I'm not sure this show always lives up to that responsibility." The energy in the studio changed instantly. You could feel the tension spreading through the room like wildfire. Joy maintained her composure, years of live television experience kicking in. "This show has been on the air for decades," Joy responded calmly. "We've covered every major issue, given voices to people who needed to be heard, and we've always stood up for what's right. I'm not sure what you're referring to." "That's exactly the problem," Meghan shot back, her voice rising. "You think you've done enough. You think having a platform means you're using it correctly. But from where I'm sitting, I see a lot of talk and not a lot of real action." The audience gasped. This was not going the way anyone had planned. The producers in the control room were frantically trying to decide whether to cut to commercial. Joy sat up straighter, her expression hardening, just a fraction. "Meghan, I have to say, I'm a little confused here," Joy said. "You came on this show. You agreed to this interview. If you have such issues with what we do, why are you here?" "Because I thought maybe, just maybe, I could help educate you," Meghan said, and the condescension in her voice was unmistakable. "I thought I could show you how to use your platform more effectively." Joy's jaw tightened. The other hosts looked absolutely stunned. The audience was silent now, watching this train wreck unfold in real time. "Educate me?" Joy repeated slowly. "I've been doing this job since before you were born. I've interviewed presidents, activists, and world leaders. I've covered wars, elections, and social movements. And you're going to sit there and tell me I need education?" "Age doesn't equal wisdom, Joy," Meghan said dismissively. "Just because you've been doing something for a long time doesn't mean you've been doing it right." The studio erupted in shocked murmurs. Joy held up a hand to quiet the audience, her eyes never leaving Meghan's face. "Let me get this straight," Joy said, her voice steady but firm. "You accepted our invitation to come on this show, a show watched by millions of people every single day. A show that has championed women's rights and social justice for years, and you're using this time to insult me and insult this program?" "I'm not insulting anyone," Meghan replied coolly. I'm simply speaking truth to power. Isn't that what you claim to do here? Speaking truth to power? Joy's voice carried a note of disbelief. Meghan, you married into one of the most powerful families in the world. You've lived in palaces. You've had access to resources most people can only dream of. And you're sitting here lecturing me about power? Meghan's face flushed. That's completely different. How is it different? Joy pressed. Please explain it to me. Explain to our audience how your experience with power and privilege is so different from what you're accusing us of. Because I've actually experienced hardship, Meghan snapped. I've faced real struggles that you couldn't possibly understand. The audience reaction was immediate and negative. Someone in the crowd actually booed. Joy held up her hand again, asking for quiet, but her expression had shifted from professional patience to barely contained frustration. Let me tell you something about hardship, Joy said, her voice low and controlled. I grew up in a working-class family. I worked my way through college. I fought for every single opportunity I ever got in this business. I've been told I was too old, too outspoken, too opinionated. I've been criticized, attacked, and dismissed more times than I can count. So don't you dare sit there and tell me I don't understand struggle. That's not the same thing, Meghan insisted. You don't understand what it's like to have the entire world watching your every move, judging everything you do. Joy let out a sharp laugh. Are you serious right now? I'm on live television 5 days a week. Every word I say is analyzed and criticized. Every outfit is commented on. Every opinion is debated. You think I don't know what scrutiny feels like? It's different when you're born into it, Meghan argued, but her voice had lost some of its earlier confidence. You weren't born into royalty, Joy pointed out. You chose to marry into that family. You knew exactly what you were signing up for. Meghan's expression turned icy. How dare you? How dare I? Joy repeated. How dare I state facts? This is what I'm talking about. You come on here, you attack this show, you attack me personally, and then you get offended when I push back with simple truths? These aren't simple truths, Meghan said, her voice shaking with anger. These are attacks. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is the problem with shows like this. You invite people on, you pretend you want to have a real conversation, but the moment someone challenges you, you attack them. I'm not attacking you, Joy said firmly. I'm responding to your attacks on me and this program. There's a difference. You came out swinging, Meghan. Don't act surprised when someone swings back. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. The other hosts sat frozen, unsure whether to jump in or let this play out. The audience was completely silent now, transfixed by the confrontation happening before their eyes. You know what your problem is? Meghan said, pointing her finger at Joy. You can't handle being challenged. You've been doing this so long that you think you're untouchable. You think you can say whatever you want, and no one can question you. Question me all you want, Joy replied. That's not what you're doing. You're not asking questions. You're making accusations. You're being disrespectful. And you're doing it on my show, in my house, to my face. Your show? Your house? Meghan laughed bitterly. This is what I mean about ego. This show doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the network. It belongs to the viewers. You're just someone who sits in that chair. The audience gasped again. Several people stood up, looking outraged. Joy's co-hosts finally started to react, trying to interject, but Joy held up her hand. You're absolutely right, Joy said quietly. This show does belong to the viewers, and I think our viewers deserve better than watching someone come on here and disrespect everyone involved in making this program. I think they deserve better than watching a guest use her platform to tear down the very people who gave her that platform. I don't need your platform, Meghan said haughtily. I have my own voice. I have my own following. I don't need The View to be relevant. Then why are you here? Joy asked again, her patience clearly wearing thin. Seriously, Meghan, if you don't need us, if you think so little of this show and what we do, why did you come? Meghan opened her mouth to respond, but seemed to struggle for words. Let me guess, Joy continued. You needed the publicity. You needed the exposure. You needed the platform that you claim you don't need. Because here's the truth. Whether you want to admit it or not, The View reaches millions of people. We have influence. We have impact. And you wanted access to that. That's not true, Meghan protested weakly. Isn't it? Joy challenged. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you came on here with an agenda. You came on here planning to cause drama, planning to make headlines, planning to make yourself look like some kind of brave truth teller, standing up to the establishment. But all you've really done is show everyone watching exactly who you are. Meghan stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. I don't have to sit here and take this. You're right, you don't, Joy agreed, also standing. The door is right there. You're kicking me off your show? Meghan asked incredulously. I'm giving you the option to leave with dignity, Joy said. Because if you stay, this is only going to get worse. You've insulted me. You've insulted this show. You've insulted everyone who works here. I've tried to have a respectful conversation with you, but you clearly came here looking for a fight. I came here trying to have a real conversation, Meghan insisted, but you're too defensive to hear any criticism. There's a difference between criticism and disrespect, Joy said. I've taken plenty of criticism over the years. I've learned from it. I've grown from it. But I won't sit here and let someone talk down to me on my own show. I won't let someone diminish the work we do here. And I certainly won't let someone use this platform to boost their own image by tearing us down. Meghan grabbed her purse from beside her chair. This is unbelievable. This is censorship. No, Joy corrected her. Censorship is when you're not allowed to speak. You've spoken plenty. You've said everything you wanted to say. But freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. And the consequence of coming on someone's show and disrespecting them is that you get asked to leave. Your viewers are going to hear about this, Meghan threatened. They're going to know exactly what happened here. Good, Joy said. They're watching it happen right now. They can see exactly what went down. They can judge for themselves who was out of line here. The audience started applauding. It started small, just a few people clapping, but it quickly grew until the entire studio was applauding Joy. The sound was deafening. Meghan looked around at the crowd, her face reddening. This is ridiculous, she muttered, but her voice was drowned out by the applause. A producer appeared from backstage, gently touching Meghan's elbow and indicating toward the exit. Meghan jerked her arm away. Don't touch me, she snapped. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, the producer said politely, but firmly. I'm leaving, Meghan said loudly. I wouldn't stay on this show if you paid me. We did pay you, Joy called after her. We paid you to be here. We paid for your car service. We paid for your hair and makeup. So let's not pretend you're making some grand sacrifice by leaving. Meghan whirled around, her eyes blazing. You are a bitter, miserable woman who can't stand that someone younger and more relevant is getting attention. The audience booed loudly now. Joy just shook her head. And you are someone who had every opportunity handed to her and still manages to play the victim, Joy responded. I hope someday you figure out that respect is earned, not demanded, that platforms are privileges, not rights, and that burning bridges doesn't make you brave. It just makes you alone. I'd rather be alone than fake like you, Meghan shot back. Then you're going to get your wish, Joy said simply. Security had appeared now, two large men in suits standing on either side of Meghan. She looked at them, looked back at Joy, and then turned on her heel. This isn't over, she said as she stormed toward the exit. Yes, it is, Joy called after her. It's very much over. The cameras followed Meghan as she walked off the stage, her heels clicking loudly against the floor. The audience continued clapping and cheering for Joy. The other hosts stood up, gathering around Joy in a show of support. Meghan reached the stage door and paused for just a moment, as if she might turn around and say something else. But then she pushed through the door and disappeared from view. The door swung shut behind her with a definitive thud. Joy took a deep breath and turned back to the cameras. Her hands were shaking slightly, but her voice was steady. "Well," she said to the audience, "that was not how I saw this interview going." The audience laughed, a release of all the tension that had built up during the confrontation. Joy smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. She looked tired, suddenly, the adrenaline starting to wear off. "We need to go to commercial," one of her co-hosts said softly. Joy nodded. "Yeah, let's take a break." As the cameras cut away and the red lights went dark, Joy sank back into her chair. Her co-hosts surrounded her, offering water, asking if she was okay. She waved them off gently. "I'm fine," she said. "I just can't believe that actually happened." In the control room, the producers were already on the phone with network executives. The footage was being reviewed, decisions were being made about what to do next. But everyone knew one thing for certain. This was going to be the most talked about episode in The View's history. Back on the stage, Joy composed herself as the commercial break wound down. The audience was still buzzing with excitement, still processing what they had just witnessed. When the cameras came back on, Joy addressed them directly. "We want to apologize to our viewers who tuned in expecting a normal interview," she said sincerely. "That's not what you got today. What you got was a masterclass in what not to do when you're a guest on someone's show." The audience applauded again. "We invite people onto this program with open arms and open minds," Joy continued. "We ask tough questions, sure. We push back when we disagree. That's our job. That's what we do. But we always try to do it with respect. We try to have real conversations, even when they're difficult, even when they're uncomfortable." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "But we will not tolerate disrespect. We will not tolerate someone coming onto this stage and attacking the people who work here, the show itself, or me personally. We have standards. We have boundaries. And when someone crosses those boundaries, there are consequences." The audience gave her a standing ovation. Joy smiled, genuinely this time, and thanked them. "Let's move on to our next segment," she said, and just like that, the show continued. But in that studio, with those cameras rolling and that audience watching, something important had happened. A line had been drawn, a boundary had been enforced, and a host had stood up for herself, her show, and her team. Because at the end of the day, respect is not negotiable, dignity is not optional, and sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is know when to show someone the door.